That feeling when an android can bully the literal devil, turning around and running crying. Wow. I mean, you start the episode off with this hilarious Konosuba reference where our boy is given in his report saying this and that. What do I get in return? You've only sent me one beast man. And that beast man just talks about how he basically wants a lolly. Oh, I can give you the next installment of Konosuba with a slight alteration to its name, which is pretty funny because generally you do that to avoid copyright infringement. But when you have literally the same author, of both of these series doing it, it makes it all the more funny. But for an episode that I would argue was my personal funniest episode, it left me laughing at multiple points. I think it was incredible. You had me feeling bad for Agent 6 at one point when he was making friends with the wildlife. In comes Snow, cuts it into pieces, and then eats it in front of him. To then the whole idea of Grimm versus Alice and how you have that whole science versus magic argument, and this android refuses to back down. She's pure logic driven. So we go from almost killing a bunny rabbit to throwing a sirloin steak on the mat to literally summoning this hot devil girl who was honestly going to give our man a harem. And I'm like, you know what? He's a scumbag. He does some shitty things, but I do feel bad for him about his whole, oh, here's this creepy looking monster, but it wanted to be friends and it got destroyed. Maybe this man can have a harem for a day. It probably won't last, but let's see what happens. And then Alice had to ruin everything by basically saying, you're going to clean my toilet, you know what, just get out of here. The comedy in this show, I really enjoy. And I truly feel like it just keeps getting better. Similar to how the Konosuba cast, the longer they were together, the way the jokes just connected with them, it made it all the funnier because they knew how to push each other's buttons even more, and it wasn't like they were strangers anymore, so they had these more deep-rooted jokes which could be pretty twisted, and Combatants will be dispatched is doing the exact same thing. By having the, just different rivalries, I really enjoy it. Like, someone like Agent 6, the Zipper Man versus Snow, I mean, constantly he's breaking her swords, pissing her off. There's that ongoing joke that's probably going to last. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks one or two more swords before this anime wraps up, right? It just feels like it has to happen. But I like that type of ongoing joke. I like the issues with, science versus magic. We logically know this shit's magic. It's just, that's the obvious answer. But for someone based around science and was created as such, she's going to say, oh, it's a hologram, where's your real body? And, no matter what you show her, I don't think she'll ever believe it. It's just so fun to watch a cast of characters like this just really bounce around. And I personally really enjoyed the hunting section of the episode where we're basically trying to study the food on this planet because we're not sure. Will it be poisonous to different people, right? Because this isn't a world for humanity. This is a world that's basically like a medieval isekai fantasy-like setting. So by going and observing the wildlife, I mean, it's pretty freaky. It's giant snakes, centipede-looking creatures. It just looks horrifying. And I like how Agent 6 is the one character who's just this is just horrifying, let's go home. And when they were building up to the moment before, obviously, Snow destroyed it, I thought what was going to happen was clearly it'd be a funny moment, or it was supposed to be a funny moment. And I thought when they're building up in that almost romantic friendship fashion where you see the blur, the sun's creeping through the bushes, I was like, oh, he's going to lose an arm and he's going to have it reattached. Maybe there would then be an argument about science and magic, right? But the fact that it didn't go where I thought it was, because I'm pretty sure most people would agree, when you're putting your hand into giant claws to shake hands, the logical assumption is he's going to lose a limb, right? And then in comes Snow, slices it in two. And if that wasn't bad enough, I think what makes it so hilarious and just disturbing is that upon its death and it was being ripped apart, you have that shot where you see our boy in his eye and you hear the mumbling and crying, and I'm like, holy shit. And to eat it in front of him, I mean, I kind of wish we got to see that creature live, because we already have Tiger Man in this episode. Imagine having something like that that's constantly people are saying, oh, these are delicious, we want to eat it. And we have that act of humanity from the Zipper Man just saying, you know what, I want to keep my friend alive. I think that would have been a fun joke. Maybe he'll make friends with another one down the line. But the Tiger Man was a welcome addition. I mean, it was just kind of hilarious because you assume after everything that's happened, he might have a little more reinforcements, but the one he has basically is just the equivalent of Zipper Man, who just is constantly talking. Instead of a harem, he wants basically a lolly. And it's just the meowing and just how different characters respond to him. The fact that they made this elaborate story that the sword went on an adventure, the sword just got back. It tried to fight the demon lord, failed, but now it's back and it's you know, its voice is gone. It's just like the way they escalate these situations is an absolute riot and a hoot. And they end the episode talking about how there's a lack of water and they're going to be running out of water soon. I'm curious if they're going to go the direction of having like a science versus magic argument again. Maybe someone like Grimm will make a sacrifice to get more water, where Alice will come up with a scientific solution. I'm glad that they're starting to explore the mingling a bit more, rather than just having, okay, it's 6 versus this, or Alice versus this. It feels like there's a lot more like connections being formed. You have, I think the only character who really got sidelined in this episode has to be our little demon girl here. I mean, she's eaten up saying, I only like you when you buy me things, and it's funny, and she's had plenty of moments, don't get me wrong. But in terms of everyone else, I mean, granted, with how many characters were on screen, one character had to get pushed aside, and I guess given the way they were bickering and bantering, it made sense to kind of push her away since she's really the most harmless right now out of all of them. And I mean, just watching it escalate, watching the summoning, I mean, I truly thought we were going to watch a bunny get its head bashed in, because while you would think the person summoning an evil lord would be able to do it, I like how she was, you know what, let's just throw a sirloin on the map, that's a lot better, and Alice was like, you survived this time. I said it last week that Alice was growing to be one of my favorite characters in this show, because I like how she responds so logically, pretty much she doesn't extend her vocal range all that much because she's an android, right? She just looks at things logically, and I really enjoy how she brings a different level of comedy in contrast to someone like Zipperman, who's very out there and forward. I mean, he's constantly flashing a zipper into people's faces. You have some people worshipping him as like, oh man, I hear he's never been defeated in battle. And then in comes the children saying, your pants stink, right? There's just a different type of comedy than an android who has no emotion and is fine beating a bunny's head to the pulp, or literally shaking down a demon who, because she believes it's just a hologram, and that's kind of frightening, especially considering you and everyone knows, including the devil itself, that I am powerful, yet this girl seemingly is shaking me down. I'm kind of scared. Any character who can literally shake down the devil has to be best girl in some capacity, and Alice is definitely rising up those ranks for sure. Though I will say, I do hope that this summon will come back in some capacity. I'm not sure if they would or not, but I think it would be hilarious if at one point we're on the battlefield and maybe the enemy summons it. And, you know, we have this dramatic entrance, the devil's going to destroy everything, and then it gets to look at Alice and just runs the hell away. That would be a hilarious joke. Like, you can just write so many situations in your head with these characters, and they're hilarious. But even when the ones you think of, that would be the best thing ever, I really feel like the author knows exactly how to write equally memorable ones, and it just is a non-stop hilarious adventure. It was just a great episode. It was comedy gold. It was, I honestly thought, fast-paced. It was just non-stop adventure and hilariousness. And I think after some of the more serious stuff that they have thrown at us, especially with the whole idea of like, will he betray them? Will he not betray them? The fact that it is out in the open and the fact that they can have these roundtable discussions about their other world, it's really great. Overall, just I like the show even more, and I'm already hoping that we get at least a season 2, and if not, throw these bad boys into Isekai Quartet in some way, because this shit's absolutely hilarious. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, your favorite moment, and where you think it's going to go with episode 8 next week. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.